Today we're going to talk with one of our team members on RESG who literally just had his best month ever despite the market being down 30% with record high interest rates. You ready to do this?
Ready.
Okay, perfect. Are you competitive?
I'm very competitive, yeah.
Tell me about that.
So that's really funny you asked that because yesterday we did our indoor and that was the first time that I've actually been really mad at the other team. I hated them. And I've always joked around. I like to joke around because it keeps me cool.
Yeah.
And I was just so mad. It was so funny. I actually wanted to tell you this. This is perfect timing.
Yeah.
We ended up losing. I scored one goal,
yeah.
but we lost like 7-2. And I was so upset. And I caused the last goal too, which was, I looked down and the guy was like, "Oh, good game." And I'm like, "Get out of here, man." But yes, to answer your question, I'm very competitive.
Your newer real estate broker, first career, Federal Reserve just took interest rates like through the roof, the highest, fastest hike in history. And the overall market, like transactions are down. 30%, in some cases 40%. But you just had your best month ever. Why? How?
So I think the reason why I'm having my best month ever was because I consistently did the same things over and over and over, which is, it's really funny because one of the things I wanted to say was, just listen to Anton. I think honestly, if you listen to what Anton says and just do it, but over time, in the beginning, it's boring. In the beginning, it's not fun. It's hurtful to have to go out there and make the phone calls. I remember the first time I made a phone call, I was trying to hide under my desk because I was so nervous. But I think really the most important thing is just being consistent with making the phone calls, doing the follow-up, doing the door knocking, doing the open houses, right?
So what activities did you do that created your best month ever?
I was a little bit more aggressive. And what I mean by being more aggressive is I made sure to, when I followed up, I was very deliberate about it. I'd give value and then I'd say, all right, guys, well, let's sit down. Let's figure out what the next game plan is.
Yeah.
And this is something where people, they need it right now. They need to feel like okay, Elias, please help me. What is it? I want to do this thing, but I don't know where to start. I'm like, perfect. How about we sit down, just start a conversation and get the plan, get the ball rolling for you.
Yeah.
Right? Because then they feel like they have an advocate and then we can help out and get the ball rolling for them.
To kind of paraphrase, then you were basically asking them, okay, let's take the next step.
Yes. And I think that's one of the biggest things where I didn't do that in the beginning. And now that I'm doing that, things are starting to work and, best month ever, right?
Yeah. Well, but let's be real specific. So we got 3 listing agreements, 3 buyer agreements, and 3 under contract. That's a phenomenal month, phenomenal pace. What give me the stage and bring me back, like what had to happen for that month, for September to come together like that? Like, where did the leads come from? What was the level of follow-up? What was your mindset? It sounds like we were taking the next logical step, but give me more context in regards to that.
So I guess I can talk about my listings. The first thing that I did was, my first listing was, I listed a property in Kenmore.
Yep. And
this one was a year follow-up. So I made sure to be on top of it. It was an expired listing. She didn't want to talk to any agent. I went up, I met her, and we just talked about her life. I didn't really push too much on that. And then from there, it was just constant follow-up. She had to work on the property. And I said, no pressure. I'm here whenever you want.
Yeah.
Right? Whenever you need any help, I'm here. And that was just constantly calling once a month. And once we got closer, I would follow up once a week, every other day. How everything's looking. When can I come by, look at the property, and just help. Right?
So maybe even another way to say that is, when you were following up, what happened over a longer period of time is you built capital T trust with this individual. You built a relationship and you understood, their wants and needs. So really the follow-up was probably one of the biggest keys there.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. What else? Tell me more.
So the other listing was my SOI, was my family members.
Yep.
And we actually spoke back in summer. So all of these deals that I've had, they have never been, oh, get on the phone call, I want to buy, I want to sell right now.
Yeah.
They've all been follow-ups over last couple months, over a year.
Yep.
So I think that the biggest thing was just following up with people. So with my family, they wanted to buy something in summer because they're just trying to all have the family in one.
Yep. Awesome.
And so what they did was, our house, we've already outgrown our house, and we want to just move and get into this, type of mother-in-law situation where you have everybody in one house. And so what we did was we kept looking, we got them under contract, and now we were able to list their property. So now they're contingent. And my other listing as well, what they were doing is, this was another person I had to follow up with for a while. And the first thing, he's like, well, I want to buy a big house. And I'm like, well, how big? He's like, about $1 million. I'm like, oh, okay, I can work with that. I'd love to help you with that.
That's a big house.
And he's like, and I got a condo, I want to sell it. And I was like, well, when do you want to? He actually wanted to sell it in the summer.
Yeah.
And then things were just not working out for him. He was really busy, but I kept following up. And then he was like, Elias, he calls me, I'm ready to list. I want to start now before the end of the year. I'm like, well, perfect. So I went over. It was pretty easy. We figured out what he needed to do, got the paperwork signed, and now we're starting the search as well.
I love it. I love it. What methods of lead generation have you been most successful at, and why? And then what's like your primary, and then what's like your secondary and your tertiary?
Primary is cold calling, which
Okay.
is really funny because, like I said before, I hated cold calling.
Are you an extreme extrovert, sir?
Oh, I'm super introverted. It's really funny just to be in this business. I love it. I think I'm happy that I'm in it because it gets to push me and get out of my comfort zone all the time. Thanks to you. But cold calling is one of my biggest things where I make sure I call expired, canceled, FISBOs all the time. And then I'll call around after I have a listing. Hey, I have a listing, especially for open houses. My second one is social media. What I do is I post a lot on social media. I'm deliberate. I send messages out to people and say, hey, my name's Elias. I'm a real estate agent. I'd love to be a resource for you or for your family, your friends. Do you happen to know anybody wanting to do something?
Yeah.
Just simple, right? Like nothing, I don't want to push too hard. And I actually ended up getting my last listing because of that.
Awesome.
So she wanted to sell her dad's house. She didn't talk to anybody. She didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And we ended up listing it that same week. And now
Great.
we're under contract and we're ready to get that sold for them and get moved.
So 1, cold call, 2, social media. What's the next one?
It's really funny. I don't really have a third one, but I would say probably like door knocking. I would say
Yep.
door knocking for sure.
Door knocking, open house kind of tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you had to what's the most important thing that you've learned in this new career of real estate?
Oof. I think the most important thing I've learned in this career is the not giving up, the stick-to-itness, the being okay with being uncomfortable and being okay with falling on your face, because you're going to fall on your face a 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
And that's okay. A lot of people say, I don't want to do something like this because I don't know where things are going to come from. And I feel like for me, I'm really blessed in the sense of like, I'm still with family, so I can go out and work as much as possible. And I use that to my advantage. So what I did was, I didn't look at it like, how much am I going to earn my first year? I looked at it, how much am I going to learn my first year? So I made sure to learn as much as possible, stick to people that were going to teach me, help me grow in different areas.
Yeah.
And that's
Make you squirm a little bit.
a lot of it, all the time. But it's good. It really, really is good for you, because I know that Elias' first day on real estate would not be sitting here and doing a podcast.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'd be hiding under my desk. But that's really what it is. Just being uncomfortable, being okay with it.
So what made you decide to get into real estate?
So what made me decide to get into real estate was, I graduated high school 2016.
Yeah.
And then all my friends were like, guys, we're going to go to college. And I'm like, well, I'll follow you. I want to keep the friend unit, So I went to EBCC for 2 years. It took me a little longer.
Yeah.
So everybody already graduated and I was still in college. And I'm like, well, it took me 4 years to get a 2-year degree. Yeah. And I was like, I don't really want to do this. And then COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, I didn't really have a job because of school, right? And I didn't want to go to school anymore. I didn't know what things were going to look like. So I did DoorDash. And I like DoorDash because it was a 1099.
Yep.
So I could work whenever I wanted. Really funny how that correlates. Make as much money as I wanted if I worked hard enough for it.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I didn't want to do this forever either.
Yeah.
There was something bigger that I wanted to do. So one day after I finished DoorDash, I went home, was getting ready for bed, and I went on YouTube. And one of the YouTube channels that came up was a real estate agent. And this real estate agent's right into her hand. He's like this big deal, big agent over there in New York. And it was one of his vlogs. And I was like, this is awesome. He talked about just a day and what it's like to be a real estate agent. And I just fell in love right there. And I was like, I need to do this. I want to find out how to do this. He said this thing that I really liked, where there's no ceiling to where it is in real estate. You can make as much as possible if you work as hard as possible, but there's also no floor. So it's like, if you don't make anything, you won't make anything, but you can make as much as possible if you work hard enough for it. And when I did that, I ended up taking the classes first. I found out what I needed to do, and then I ended up interviewing brokerages, and I landed with Keller Williams, and I loved it. I loved the whole aspect of it. I loved the team, and I loved how much they were pouring into you. And this is what really made me want to get into real estate and what got me into real estate.
So here's the side note. The side note is, we have a real estate sales team. Elias is on our real estate sales team, and we're getting ready to do a team meeting. And I walk in, and I'm up by the whiteboard, and this young kid comes in a few minutes late, and he looks all hot and maybe a little sweat even. And I said to Jennifer, I said, hey, what's going on with Elias over there? And she's like, I think he just ran here because his car wouldn't start or was broken or whatever it was. And I go, I like that. And so that was the day where all of a sudden I was like, I'm going to go push on that kid to see what happens. Because what you're looking for in life, when you're the leader, the entrepreneur, is you're looking for people to do something that raises their hand and they say, I'm going to work hard and do whatever it takes, or do something extra, or show grit or tenacity or perseverance, or I'm just going to figure it out. And when someone's like, oh, my car didn't work and I just, jogged over to the office, that's a prime example. Because what happens so much in our society is they just quit, or they just don't show up that day. Anyway, that was the day I started to decide to harass you more.
So if I was brand new in real estate and I was telling myself now, my brand new self, what to do,
yes,
I think the one thing I would tell them is, this is another cool quote that I like. It's take care of the work and the work will take care of you.
Yes.
Where you just keep going and lean into to being uncomfortable, because the more you lean into it, the faster you're going to get over it. And I still struggle with that, but I'm a lot better than I was. And I know that Elias needs to hear that, because that Elias was under the desk making the phone calls. Hey, my name's Elias with Keller Williams. Would you like to buy or sell a house? That's what it was. And I think the Elias now, then to seeing me now make those phone calls and be as confident as I am now, would look up to me. So I think that's just the biggest thing, is lean into the being uncomfortable.
Yeah. You're leaning into this, being uncomfortable. What would you tell, the young person in real estate, or yourself, about what's the mindset they need to do, the habits they need to create? What does that look like?
I think mindset is really, really important, because this is something that me and you, we talk about all the time. Yeah. You need to keep, I'm going to probably butcher it, but you need to have all your thoughts under lock type of thing, right? Where everything, your mindset is so important. There was this really cool video that I saw too that talked about what's more important, less negative thoughts or more positive thoughts. And it was the less negative thoughts, because you can have like 100 positive thoughts, but if you have 101 negative thoughts, what's going to win?
Yeah.
Right. And I think mine was, I can do this. I can do it. I know I can. I have it in me. I work hard. It's going to work for me. It can't. The numbers are in my favor if I just keep working. That's what the mindset is.
Once again, this is the new real estate agent. What actions do they need to take?
Lead gen. I think a lot of people, when they get into real estate, they're like, oh, I'm excited because somebody's going to call me and be like, I want to sell my $1 million house and I want you to be my agent. And everybody wants that, but it's It's not the way real estate is. Real estate is you need to go in, make those phone calls, get those contacts, because it's a contact sport, and follow up, because you get the leads, the prospects, right, turn into, I don't know, but turn into leads, and from the leads, they turn into people that you keep following up with, and then the fortune is in the follow up, right? Because you may be lucky and have one deal that wants to do something right now, but overall, this is a longevity game.
Yeah.
And the more you have people in your pipeline, the more you'll succeed and the more you'll be in the business.
100%. What would you tell your younger self to prepare him for today?
I would tell him to do what you're doing already. I think there was a couple of things that happened in my life that, like, when I was going into college, that kind of diverted me from college and all this stuff, but I ended up finding my place anyways.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, just trust what you're doing and trust in yourself, and you'll be able to find the right way. Because at the end of the day, we know what's best for us, and we know that we want what's best for us. At the end of the day, we know that we want better for us. Like, for me, what I knew is that I wanted better for me, and I was constantly reaching out for better. But I think when I got to be uncomfortable and I got to be in those places that grew me and I got to be around the people that helped me grow, that's when things really took off. But really, just trust in yourself.
Yeah.
It's really corny, but it's true.
Yeah.
Right.
Do the work.
Yes.
Trust in you. Enjoy the process. Get on the journey.
Another quote, but the man walks farther that enjoys to walk than the one that enjoys the destination.
Amen. Sold. Yeah. No, I mean,
Right?
that's beautiful. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I see myself in 10 years having a lot of investments, having my family not have to work anymore, me being the sole provider in 10 years, and just accomplishing things that I want to be the pioneer for my family, because I'd be the first millionaire. We come from, my parents are originally from Mexico, and I just want to make them proud. I want to make my last name proud, and I want to make my family to come from my wife and my kids to be proud, and to
Future wife and
future wife. And yes, I'm not married. But
future wife, future kids.
But like, that's my why, is just having those investments and having a name for myself and for my family, and just not having them to work. Like, I want to be the one that does it for them. I think for me, the one thing that's really more important to me that's really helped me be anchored is my faith, right? I believe in God. I'm Christian, and I think that what's really been helping me out is having to know that I'm getting up in the morning and doing something that's bigger than me. And I think being grateful in everything, in every season, is what really has been helping me out too. And I feel like it can help so many people out, where it's so easy to get bogged up in all the what's going on in the world, right? Or what's going on with this and this, or with this person. But like, finding what is the things that you get up in the morning for and you're grateful for, the simple things, right? Like the coffee in the morning, or being able to drive to work, or like when I've done that and I've worked on my gratitude, I felt like my life and my happiness has gone up so much. I look at life with a different lens. And I look at life with different wins too, just like you said, which I love. There's always things that we're going to lose in life or in day to day, but what is it that we win, right? Like, I lost yesterday. I was pissed. I'm still kind of pissed, actually, right now, when I talk about it.
This morning I woke up pissed.
Yeah, I did. But I'm grateful because I scored a goal. My team, we didn't lose by much, and I was able to help them, and they were able to help me, and I had a great time at the end of the day. Right? And it wasn't the World Cup. I say that all the time. It's not the World Cup, but it's just those little, but that's what I mean, right? Just being grateful and finding the wins in your day to day.
Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, watch this one too.